And I'm pretty sure I've talked to a few of you over email, but I'll introduce myself. I'm Trisha Utley. I'm with the CWE. I'm the Client Experience Coordinator, newly hired in the last 3 weeks. And my position is fairly new in terms of some of the things that I'm kind of doing. So I'm the person that you'll reach out to if you have questions about what courses you should take or if you need a consultation. And I kind of help get you to the people that can help you. And you'll see me on social media as well. So if you have any questions, I will put my email in the chat. And yeah, so I think a lot of you are familiar, but just because it is being recorded, I'll also kind of just recap. The CWE is an arm of the SBA, and we help women start, grow, and expand their businesses so that they can provide for themselves, for their families, to create stronger communities. And we are really committed to building exciting programs for artists and makers. And, you know, we're in the process of building out some really amazing classes. So keep your eyes posted on the newsletter if you haven't signed up. And let me see, is there anything else that I missed? Let's see. So, real quick too, I think a lot of you are signed up for the next one, but the next class is legal considerations for starting your business, and that's December 2nd, which is a Wednesday, and I'll put the sign up link for that in the chat at the beginning and at the end as well. And today we have Lisa Burke-McCoy from the New Hampshire State Council on the Arts. She is a musician and a lifelong arts enthusiast, and she's here today to talk to us about some artist development grants that are opening up in January of 2021 so that you can learn how to expand your business and how you can connect with the New Hampshire State Council on the Arts to help you with that. So Lisa, you can go ahead and take it away.
Great, thank you, Trisha. We're a small group today, so I think because there's so few of us, if you have questions, you're welcome to use the chat field as we go along, and then Trisha, of course, can interrupt with your questions. Or if you just want to unmute and ask the question, I think that's absolutely fine too. This is I do have a PowerPoint just because I think it's a little easier to see some of the content written, and Trisha has the slides to distribute to all of you after this presentation, and I have built in URLs throughout so that you know where to go to look for more information if there's anything in particular that interests you. So hopefully that'll be helpful. I would love to start, if you all don't mind, with just asking each of you if you could, tell me briefly your name and what discipline you practice, and where you're practicing. I would love to know that. So, Kristen, do you
Hi there.
Hi.
I'll be brave and go first.
Thank you.
My name's Kristen Hand. I live in Bridgewater. I do a number of things to make it all work out together. And I am a photographer as well as a digital artist.
Great, thank you. Stephanie.
Yeah, my name is Stephanie Gordon. I'm a painter. I currently use encaustic paints. I'm also an art educator, although, I haven't taught anything in the last 8 months. Yeah, and I live in Piermont, New Hampshire.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Tina?
I'm Tina Gagnon. I'm a colored pencil fine artist, and I work in Salem, New Hampshire.
Great, thank you. And I see C. Doyle.
Hi, I'm Chris O'Neill, and I do a combination of what some of you do. I do photography and digital art. I do portrait painting, as well as any other digital art and traditional.
Great. And where are you located?
I'm in Londonderry.
Londonderry. Great. Thank you. Great. It's good to meet all of you. I appreciate you being here today. I'm going to put my screen on share. I don't know if any of you, and actually I should have asked you to say this while you introduce yourself, if any of you are familiar with the New Hampshire State Council on the Arts, or any of you have worked with us before. I am going to proceed on the assumption that you're fairly new to us, but if this is duplicative, please let me know, and I'm happy to I'm happy to speed up things, as it were. Hang on one second. I'm trying to, there we go, get into another setting here, and it wants to, there we go. Okay. So just a little bit by way of introduction of the State Arts Council and who we are. There are 56 state arts councils across the USA. We all operate in partnership with the National Endowment for the Arts and in partnerships with the states in which we're located. So in the case of the New Hampshire State Council on the Arts, we were founded in 1965. We're part of the Department of Natural and Cultural Resources, which also includes state libraries, historical resources, forests and lands, and state parks. So we like to think of ourselves as all of the natural and cultural assets of the states, all of those tangible assets that make New Hampshire such a rich and welcoming place to live in and to visit. So we're very proud of everything that we represent here. We receive a partnership grant every year from the National Endowment for the Arts, and we receive appropriations through the state of New Hampshire budget. And of that money, about 60% of that is re-granted. Our focus is on supporting the residents and communities of New Hampshire by enriching them with the creative arts. And we do this by granting money directly to artists and also to arts organizations. And our organizational money, and I'll get into this a little bit deeper in a moment, our organizational money does two things. One, it provides general operating revenues so that those organizations can be sustainable and resilient, which is especially important in a time like we're going through with COVID. And it also enables those organizations to hire artists. So we definitely see that money as a pass-through to the New Hampshire artist community. So it's really important for, I think, all of you to know that. We're a pretty mean and lean operation. We have 6 staff people right now. Our arts education person went off, took a job as the director of Kimball Jenkins, and we have not been able to fill that position. So there are just 6 of us right now. Last year's budget was about $1.2 million, and we were granted about $850,000 of that money. So the first thing I think that might be of interest to you is the Artist Entrepreneurial Grant Program. These are our grants that go directly to artists, and they are intended to both support your professional development and your business development. So what I mean by that is if you have an opportunity to take a professional development course, for instance, in digital arts, I know a couple of you said was your area of focus, you could apply to us to cover tuition for that, your travel for that, any amount you might pay for overnight stay to attend that professional development workshop. If you, in terms of the business side, if you need to develop a website, if you need marketing materials, if you want to hire a consultant to help you write a business plan or to develop a social media strategy, those also would be relevant. The one thing we do not cover through this grant is equipment. So if you need a new camera, lighting equipment, computer, that would not be covered under this grant. The award is up to $1,000. We generally require a 1-to-1 match, which means for every dollar we grant you, you need to contribute $1 of your own funds toward whatever it is that you're doing. Because of the pandemic, we have waived that this year. So through our last deadline of this year, this is a quarterly grant, our last deadline is February 5th, there is no match required. So if you have something that you want to do and the cost is $1,000, you can apply to us for the full $1,000 to do whatever that is. We have not set our deadlines yet for FY22. we should have that information early in the year. And again, there's, as I mentioned in the beginning, there's a URL built down here at the bottom. So if you want to go onto our website to get more information about this grant, please do. And I also have contact information I'll share with you at the end for anyone who's interested in knowing who to contact to get more information. Another way, I don't know, I hear people are joining the webinar, so I don't know how many people this is relevant to, but we do run the Percent for Art program for the state. So this is enacted through state statute, and what this means is that 0.5% of the capital budget for any state construction or significant renovation projects is set aside for the acquisition or commission of artwork to be installed on site. So in managing that, we coordinate between commissions that are established by the entity that is constructing the building. So just as an example, Genesis Beach just rebuilt their bathhouse. So there was a special commission or committee that was created representing, that was the Department of Natural, Cultural, and Cultural Resources. So there was a committee set aside to represent that body. And then we also issued the RFPs and navigated the hiring process of the artists with them. We coordinated and facilitated all of the details with the artists, and we were present for the installation of the artwork. Again, there's a link at the bottom if you want more information about this program, and I will later on tell you how you can get information about any deadlines or opportunities as they're being released.
Lisa, there's a question in the chat.
Yeah.
Tina's asking, is that 50% total income just her income or household income?
For the Artist Entrepreneurial Grant, that is for you as an artist. So what we're looking to do is to fund professional artists, so people who are dedicating 50% of their time to their artwork, and 50% of their income comes from their artwork. Now that can mean a lot of different things. If you're teaching in the area of the arts, that counts. We're not just talking about arts production. And if you have any questions about whether or not you're eligible, feel free to reach out. We're happy to have a conversation around this for you. We know that artists are at all phases and stages of their careers. So some of you may be emerging into your career and you're just building on that right now. And so we'd be happy to have a conversation to talk about that further. So I mentioned that we grant directly to organizations with the intent that the money is used to hire artists. These are what we call our project grants. We award project grants in a number of different areas: arts education, arts and health, what we call creative communities, which is for community arts programs and projects, and then traditional arts. If you are a teaching artist, you may be teaching in schools as an artist in residence. You may be doing after school or extracurricular projects, art projects with youth in the community. We do have grant programs for all of those. The applicant would be the school or the organization that is hosting that project. They would apply for the grant. They would coordinate the project with you. And if the grant is awarded, they would use that money to pass through to pay your fee to do that project. Same with arts and health. We have two different tracks for arts and health. We look at supporting artists that are doing work in healthcare facilities or directly with populations of people that are navigating a healthcare diagnosis. And then we're also focused for another track on public art. So we're looking at the social determinants of health. So this might be neighborhood disparity, income disparity, chronic illness, behavioral and mental health, disability, substance use disorder, those sorts of things. And we're looking for artists and organizations that are delivering programming directly to communities to inform people about these issues, to create a safe space for conversation, to reduce stigma, and to inspire action. Our Arts for Community Engagement grant is directed toward projects that are for public benefit. So these might include community concerts, they might include local art exhibitions, they might be interactive art activities with members of the community. So we're really looking at that public benefit component. And then the final aspect is traditional arts. And we look at traditional arts very broadly. It can be anything from basket weaving to fly tying. So there are a lot of crafts and traditional arts that are passed down many times through practice and oral tradition through the generations. Some of those are rooted in specific cultures, and we have immigrant cultures here that where we definitely want to support their efforts to promote and preserve their own cultures in New Hampshire. So the Indonesian community, the Somali community, they all may apply for these grants. And then we have traditional arts apprenticeships, which supports the work of a master artist working with an apprentice to pass along that craft or that tradition of artwork, so that we know that there's a line of inheritance and that that tradition is not going to be lost. So again, please feel free to put any questions on the chat or interrupt if you have questions as I go. We have a number of things that we do to showcase New Hampshire artists and to connect you with organizations that are hiring New Hampshire artists. So we have artist rosters in 3 different areas: arts education for our teaching artists that want to be connected to schools. We have our traditional arts rosters, again, people who are practicing in that traditional and heritage and cultural arts arena. And then arts and health for people who are practicing inside of healthcare facilities. This is a process by application. It is a rolling deadline. Feel free to talk to anyone at the Arts Council if you want more information to see if you're a good candidate for one of these rosters or directories, and we can walk you through the application process. Your application is adjudicated by a panel of peers that will determine your level of expertise, that will determine whether this roster and the opportunities it provides are aligned with your long-term goals as a practicing artist. And it's available for, again, organizations that are looking to hire artists to have a place to go to see who is juried and who has expertise in this area. We get requests all the time from organizations to access these rosters, and we are always referring organizations to these rosters, so they are heavily, heavily referenced. So if you think that this might be relevant to you, please reach out and we'll be happy to have a conversation. Every year we host the Governor's Arts Awards. This is our way of recognizing artists that are doing exemplary work in the areas of education, traditional arts, arts and health, and arts and communities. The awards are presented based on nominations. So somebody would nominate the artist for this award. A panel of peers would evaluate those nominations, and an awardee would be designated for each category. The next Governor Arts Award is in 2021. Fortunately, we did not have one scheduled for this year, since it's every other year. So if this is something that interests you, I encourage you to tune in. Early next spring, we should be pushing out announcements about the Governor's Arts Awards. It normally occurs in October. And then finally, we have our laureate positions. We, for the first time this year, designated an artist. No, I'm sorry, it wasn't the first time this year. We have done it in the past. An artist laureate. This year's artist laureate is Amanda Whitworth, who's a teaching artist and dancer in Plymouth at Plymouth State University. So again, we're looking for people who are not only exemplary in their field, but are really invested in connecting in more deeply into their communities to really promote and discuss the creative arts with community members, to be an ambassador for other artists, and to really spread, be a facilitator around conversations about the arts across the state. And then we also work with the New Hampshire Poetry Society every year to designate a poet laureate, and this year's poet laureate is Alexandria Perry. So there are a number of other resources that may interest you. This is kind of a laundry list of what I consider to be the most helpful resources that I recommend you reference. So the first one is Creative Ground. If you're not familiar with Creative Ground, this is a database that's hosted by the New England Foundation for the Arts. And what it is a repository of all of the artists, nonprofit arts organizations, and creative businesses across New Hampshire. So we ask anybody who's associated with the creative economy to go to Creative Ground and to create a profile. It is free to create a profile. You can add information, not only your contact information and information about your art discipline, but also the kind of work that you do, the people that you've worked with. It is, again, another great resource for people to connect with you, to know that you're out there. It's a great opportunity for artists to connect to one another. It's a, excuse me, it's a searchable database, which means that you can search by town, by zip code, by county, by all kinds of parameters. So if you wanted to find out who in your area is doing similar work to you, you can easily search that information, find those artists, and reach out and connect with them. They're in the process of really developing out Creative Ground. It's going to become, it's already a robust resource. It's going to become significantly more robust over the course of the next year. So I really encourage you to look into that. The New England Foundation for the Arts, I don't know if we have any performing artists that have logged in. They also grant out into the New England communities. Their focus is on performing arts, so dance, theater, and performance arts in general. If you work in any of those areas, I recommend you check their website, see what they have available. And they also have the Public Art Learning Fund for anybody who's interested in doing more in the area of public artwork. It provides a $500 grant for you to get some professional development education in that area. New Hampshire Humanities, let me just check the time real quickly. We're fine. New Hampshire Humanities has the Humanities to Go program. And so again, this is if you are an artist, if you have an idea for a workshop that you would like to package for presentation, you can apply to New Hampshire Humanities. They will evaluate your proposal, and if you are awarded, you will be allowed to package that that workshop. They put it on their website. They have a listing of all different kinds of workshops related to humanities and the arts. And people who are looking to present those workshops would go to the New Hampshire Humanities Workshop website, I'm sorry, and sorry, it's still allergy season, they're hanging on, and would fill out a quick application to be able to host that, and you would receive payment for that. The New Hampshire Business Committee for the Arts is a membership organization for businesses that are interested in supporting the arts and artists, and for artists. It is a great way to get your name circulated through the business community. It's a great way to network, build connections, something else you can look into. Creative Capital, Fractured Atlas, Center for Cultural Innovation, Springford for the Arts, and Artists Thrive are all rich repositories of information for artists, both for information about developing arts businesses as well as practicing arts in the community, public artwork, really how-to guides to help walk you through the steps of how to develop your arts practice if you're interested in exploring areas in addition to your production of artwork. So what we might call more the process and practice of doing art rather than the production of artwork. Fractured Atlas also acts as a fiscal sponsor. I know I'm throwing a lot of information out to you, and I apologize. So what this means is, as a for-profit business, and you're all for-profit small businesses, you would not normally be eligible directly for most grant opportunities, except, as I mentioned, the Artist Entrepreneurial Grant. If you want to apply for a grant for from any organization, you may do so if you have a fiscal sponsor. The grant, the fiscal sponsor is actually the name that goes on that grant application, and they pass the funds through to you. So this is just sort of a workaround for for-profit organizations to be able to access that money. If anybody thinks you may be interested in doing that, please reach out to me and talk to me. I'd be happy to discuss that with you. SBA, SBDC, Center for Women in Enterprise. We're here with Center for Women in Enterprise today. Again, all wonderful resources, as you know, for business development, both generally and in more targeted areas like they're doing now with makers and artists. Hannah Grimes, great business development support for those of you working in the Monadnock region. And then finally, Volunteer Lawyers for the Arts. This is based in Mass. Their mission specifically targets Massachusetts-based artists, providing free legal advice to Massachusetts-based artists, but they have told us that they also provide services outside of Massachusetts to bordering states. We don't know anybody who's tested that yet. We encourage you to do so. And if you do, please let us know how that turns out, because that's a resource we definitely want to be spreading to other people. And then finally, just staying informed. Here's the URL where you can visit our website. We have 2 different subscriptions we push out. One is Art Starts, which is just sort of a news blast bulletin. If we have a deadline coming up, for instance, for the Artist Entrepreneurial Grant, we will push those deadlines out. If we have a new grant opportunity opening up for artists, we will push that out via our Art Starts. EOPS is a horrible name, but besides that, it's an online listing of opportunities for artists. So it's a list of all of the professional development, public artwork, call for artists, grant opportunities, anything that cross our desks relative to the arts and artists that we think might be a really valuable opportunity for you. We post it in EOPS. So I would encourage you to use the subscription link to subscribe to receive those. EOPS is updated monthly. Art Starts only goes out when we have something relevant to announce. They're short, they're direct, they may go out a few times a month. So these things will not inundate your inbox, I promise you. We maintain a number of listservs in the arts and health and community arts area. If you're interested in learning more about just general professional development opportunities related to these areas, any kind of research or studies or white papers coming out in these areas, those will be released through that listserv. We have a New Hampshire Arts Learning Network website. We have a New Hampshire Folklife website. We convene the New Hampshire Makerspace Network. If any of you are involved in directly in makerspaces, we work with about 14 right now makerspaces across the state in what is right now a peer-to-peer learning exchange opportunity for them to help develop their resilience and sustainability through COVID, but then onward looking at how they can work together to help make their field stronger. And we also offer statewide conferences. We offer annual statewide conferences in arts education, and every 2 to 3 years we offer statewide conferences in the area of arts and health. And then here's our contact information. You can reach out to any of us. Virginia Lupi is the individual who's coordinating the Artist Entrepreneurial Grant. So if you have questions about that specific grant, I would reach out to her for her. Cassie Mason's managing Percent for Arts and Arts Education. Kayla Schweitzer manages Traditional Arts, and then I manage Creative Communities and Arts and Health. But if you don't know who to direct your call to, feel free to reach out to me, and if I can't answer your question, I am happy to direct you to the appropriate person. So that's all I have in terms of presentation, and I'm happy to answer your questions. And I hope I haven't totally overwhelmed all of you. So if while you're digesting all of that, I'm going to throw a question out to you, and anybody is free to unmute and answer this. what I'm curious to know, since I have you gathered here today, is what resources and support would be most valuable to you now, especially in the midst of COVID? We're always interested in learning more about what specific challenges you're confronting now and what opportunities you are finding that's helping you to practice your art, to market your art, to engage in your community as an artist.
I'm finding now that more online training is available to take advantage of that. But on the reverse, it's harder to get out what you do.
Mm-hmm. So Christine, can I ask you how you're currently marketing your arts practice? And if you could tell me what your discipline is, that would be helpful too.
I'm just getting started, so this is the beginning for me. I mean, of doing this a long time. It's just I'm getting started doing more than on my own kind of thing. So I'm in the other class that CWE is offering as well to get started. I do digital art. I used to do photography, but I'm more focused now on digital art, portrait, and painting.
Mm-hmm. So, you know, again, our artist entrepreneurial grant, I understand that you're emerging, but I encourage you to reach out to Virginia Lupi to talk with her about where you are, to see if that might be an appropriate grant opportunity for you to help fund some of your startup expenses.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would like to second just getting your name out in this pandemic era, since there's like no art shows going on or stuff like that, that it's extremely difficult getting yourself out there other than social media. And I mean, social media, you're sometimes just regurgitating to the same audience, so it's hard.
Mm-hmm. We do have a conversation coming up. We don't have a date for it yet, with artists across the state to talk specifically about this topic. If you subscribe to Art Starts, you will receive an email with a date and with links to register when that comes out. My guess is it'll be happening. I'm going to guess in December. It may be January, but I suspect it will be happening in December. And it may be multiple chats, just depending on the response that we get, but it will be a good opportunity to have a peer conversation with other artists to find out what it is that they are doing, that they are finding to be successful. We're really excited about sitting in and learning more about this information too. I think this has been especially difficult for visual artists. I think performing artists have sort of a natural synergy or fit with digital media that makes it much easier for them to push out and promote the work that they do. And some of them have been very successful in leveraging virtual platforms to do online theatrical performances, musical performances, and dance. But visual art is challenging. So we're especially interested in giving the visual arts community an opportunity to really sort of dig down into how to navigate what's going on right now.
Yeah, that would be very helpful. It's hard.
Yeah, I'm sure. We also, I don't know if an opportunity for this is coming up again. We are hoping that it will after the first of the year. We pushed out artist emergency grants in the spring, not long after the closures began. We partnered with a New England Foundation for the Arts to put together some funds for, I think there were $500 per awardee. We got a lot of applications for this grant. We always feel, we understand that the need is so significant and that there's no dollar amount that we would have access to that would really do justice to the depth of the impact, the financial impact COVID has had on artists. But we do everything that we can. And so we have been able to re-grant some artist emergency award money. We've re-granted New Hampshire Cares money to the organization, arts organization community. We hope opportunities will come up again after the first of the year. And again, if you have an Art Start subscription, we will make any announcements about that there.
You've given us a lot of resources to look over, which is great. I'm looking forward to looking at some of those. One area that I have some interest in learning more about is the copyright law, specifically, online, social media type of things, and the impact of your artwork being just taken away and used for whatever purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So that would interest me as a topic to look at.
Okay.
I second that.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Kristen.
Okay. I will make a note of that and see what we can do. We are, like I said, really trying to make the most of the use of virtual platforms now to push out any content specific, audience specific opportunities for peer-to-peer learning. We haven't done any expert panel convenings well, not panel convenings, but any bringing in an expert like an arts attorney to talk, but that's something that we certainly can consider for the first of the year. So if you have any other topics that would be valuable to you, please feel free to email them to me. I'm happy to start a list and to talk with my colleagues and see what we can do.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And again, I encourage you to reach out to volunteer lawyers for the arts, because that is a free resource for you. So. Is there anyone else with a question or anything else that you can think of that we could provide that would be helpful to you?
Where will we be able to find the the recording of this so that we can go back and access all those links that you provided?
I'll be following up with you guys once we're done. So I'll email you and let you know where to get all that info.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right. And you should receive a copy of the slides, and those links are all clickable. So you should just be able to click right through to the information and access the content that way too.
Great.
Because I know it's a lot. I know it's a lot.
I'm sure I'll have 1,000 more questions in an hour.
Well, you know how to reach me.
I agree with that.
So, again, we are really here to serve you. This is our job. We love being able to connect with artists and with organizations that are doing this work across the state. Call me anytime, email me anytime. I'm always happy to have a conversation with you. It is never an interruption or a bother.
Okay. So if we want to do some online training coming up, that's some of the things we can apply for on this grant?
Yes.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yes.
And Lisa, Sandy asked, are there grants to access professional services like accountants or marketing specialists?
Yep, the Artist Entrepreneurial Grant would also cover that. So again, anything that you need in terms of business development, building your business, getting your, we really are interested in seeing artists as businesses having the capacity to be strong, having the foundation, being strong and resilient, having the foundation to enable them to grow. This is all really critical for you as a business. So if you need to hire in professionals, that is definitely covered under the grant. I don't know that I say that if you are talking about hiring a CPA to do your taxes, that would not be a competitive grant opportunity because that's just a kind of a business maintenance function. And we're really looking at what you're doing to help strengthen your business.
Do you give referrals to people that help like website design that maybe more apt to know the creative side of those type of things. For creatives, I guess.
Right. So the answer is not really. We don't keep, we can't endorse any service providers, so we don't keep lists of that sort of thing. That said, we are a lot of times familiar with businesses that offer those kinds of services, and so sometimes we may have names that we can share just because they cross our desk, and we've known that other artists have used them and been happy with them, but we don't have a concrete list.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And Lisa, Sandy was just clarifying, so she's saying more of like hiring a consultant to teach her what she needs to know in those accountants and marketing specialists categories.
Right. If you need to learn, if you need to learn about that, absolutely. Because the more you know about how to do that, the better you're going to be, as stronger you're going to be as a business person. Absolutely. And again, as you go online, when you look at you can go online to the Artist Entrepreneurial Grant webpage that's linked in the slides. You can look up the guidelines for that application, and you can see the application questions. And if you have any questions at all, reach out to Ginny Loopy. The other thing that we do is we provide technical support to applicants. We want to see you be successful. This is not a rule out process. It is a rule in process. And so what we do is we will read a draft of your application and then give you feedback to help you strengthen the application. If you have questions about whether or not something is eligible, if you want to just brainstorm about some project or some thoughts you have around how you can use that money, we're happy to have those conversations with you. So, I mean, we're really here to support your work in any way we can.
Can you tell us a little bit about your art?
My art as an artist?
Yeah.
So Trisha very kindly introduced me as a musician. I always precede that with the adjective rusty. My background is in flute, classical flute. And yeah, so I played for a lot of years. Most recently I've played informally with a contra dance band in the Seacoast area, which has just been tremendous fun. It was an opportunity for me to grow as a musician, to expand into wooden flutes and whistles, which I hadn't played before.
Wow.
And to play in an environment that is significantly less structured. And to fiddle around a little bit with improvisation, which is never encouraged in the classical music world. So it was definitely new and exciting and frightening and a whole lot of fun.
Well, you were muted here because my daughter was playing the piccolo for flute class, for her band class.
That's fabulous. Good for her. And I'm glad she's still playing in the band, albeit virtually.
And Lisa, it looks like Sandy was actually one of those emergency grant recipients, and she's very grateful for that grant.
I thought your name looked familiar, so good. I'm glad you were able to use it. Again, I wish it could have been 10 times, 100 times that amount. We understand the significance of the need.
Excellent.
Okay.
Well, this has been really informative, Lisa. If no one else has any other questions, or if you do, certainly follow through with Lisa. She seems like she's got a lot of different options for you. And again, everybody's digesting everything, I'm sure. But yeah, it was a really great presentation. And yeah, I'll follow up with everybody with the slides and everything after the class. So yeah, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It was nice to meet all of you, and I look forward to talking further.
Okay. Have a happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Too. Happy Thanksgiving.